Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 208 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Agha, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and two-time author. Our second book, From Letters to Leaders, Redefining New Member Education and Leveraging Belonging to Eliminate Hazing, is available now on Amazon. Just went live in November, so make sure you pick up that book today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring fraternity and sorority leaders together. Fun fact, our next guest was a student in the audience at NYIT when I went there to talk about recruitment and lay out a plan for the entire Greek system to recruit more quality new members. Then a year later, she found me at the NGLA conference, which is the Northeast Greek Leadership Association, and she was telling me all of the success that her chapter and the rest of the community had with this new recruitment plan. And honestly, I have to tell you, this is truly the best reward that I could ever get. It's the reason why I do what I do. It's those moments when the students say, you know what, Mike, I know everything that you told us. I can repeat it back to you like it was yesterday, and we implemented it and it worked. Those moments, that's what I live for. So what can I say? Welcome to the show, Maheen.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course, of course. So Maheen Agha, she is a recent graduate from NYIT in Old Westbury, New York. She's currently a physician assistant master's degree student at NYIT, and she's heavily involved with the Greek system on campus there. So I figured that some of the student listeners that are listening to our show on a regular basis, that they would really appreciate your perspective kind of on the other side of it after graduation. So I think that this is going to be really helpful, and I'm so thankful that you're going to be on the show today.
Of course, I can't wait to talk about this.
Let's do it. So you chose NYIT for your undergraduate experience in Old Westbury on Long Island. Why NYIT? Why was that the right choice for you?
Well, I always knew NYIT was a very special school, but what really brought me in were the programs they had to offer, particularly the physician assistant program.
I love it. I love it. It really is just an amazing place. It's a very diverse community. So there's a ton of diversity within the fraternity and sorority community, which is also one of the things that makes it very attractive to me. And I also lived on Long Island for a very long time. So I had a house in East Meadow for 10 years on Long Island. And I still have my 516 cell phone number. So there you go. That's how you know I'm a real Long Island person.
Yes, you've got the proof right there.
I got the proof, right? I mean, nobody can take that away from me.
No one.
You joined a sorority there as well. So how did you know which was the right organization for you?
Well, joining a fraternity or a sorority for anyone is one of the most memorable choices you can make. So, of course, you want to choose the right organization for you. And for me, what drew me in was wherever I felt the most accepted. And like you mentioned, NYIT has that really diverse community. So there really is a place for everybody on campus. And at the time, I met the Sisters of Kappa Phi Gamma sorority, and I instantly clicked. They were very welcoming, very friendly. And I remembered watching them stroll and just thinking like, wow, like they're so cool. And they also care about academics. They're so well-rounded. And I just knew that that was somewhere I wanted to be.
Yeah, I know the sorority members are really proud of everything that you've become. And you're right. I mean, there are some amazing strolling people at NYIT. I mean, they got some real skills, something that I never saw as an undergraduate. It wasn't really the strolling component of Greek life, wasn't really something that I got into until I saw it at places like AFLV Central, now at NGLA. There's some strolling components to it. And I so appreciate that. I hope and wish that strolling is something that other fraternities and sororities around the country get exposed to, because to me, it's one of the best parts of Greek life. It's when everybody is together, no matter which council you're in, and we just celebrate community, culture, all of those things. And I love it. I hope that more people get to experience it.
Unfortunately, the talent didn't trickle down to me, but I have the most talented sisters. They can dance like no other, and whenever they stroll, I'm always excited. I've been the camera person many times. I've been the person editing the videos together, and I am just obsessed with the strolls because, as you mentioned, there's so much culture that goes into it. And I'm really
Definitely.
proud of that.
I agree, as you should be. And, you know, we met at NGLA, a conference for Greeks in the Northeast. Can't wait to go this year. It's going to be in Baltimore this year, so I'm excited about that. From your perspective, how did attending NGLA help you in terms of your growth as a student, as well as your organization?
Well, for me, the conference was one of the most fun experiences I've had in undergrad, and I would recommend that every Greek student or member should attend the conference for so many reasons. Not only was the programming interesting and insightful and engaging, but it was really just being able to see all these Greek lettered students from so many different places, wearing their letters with pride, coming together for the same reason to learn how they could strengthen their own organizations back home. I found that so inspiring. And that is the type of thing that gives people a spark to do more. And after I saw how everybody was just so excited to be there, everybody was so proud to wear their letters, you could see the real dynamics between these organizations. All it did was make me more excited to go back to campus and to recruit and to figure out event planning and to it just gave me so many sparks. I remembered I'd written notes because of course I was very involved during my undergrad years, and this is an experience would absolutely recommend for anybody, whether virtual or in person. I feel like there are so many benefits you can get from attending the conference. One of them being your confidence. When you go back to campus, you will feel definitely more confident because of the things that you get to learn at these actual programs. So I would hands down recommend it for anybody.
Wow, that's a great commercial, a great testimonial for NGLA. Hopefully, my good friend Michael Davis, their executive director, is listening right now because, man, get that on tape and get that out to every fraternity and sorority member in the Northeast immediately. Stat.
I mean, it's the truth.
Yeah, you're
It's
right.
been
It is the truth. I mean, honestly, and I've said it before to many people in the industry, I just think the culture that exists at NGLA, at that conference, is just really special. It's a family. I mean, people really, truly care about one another. And I get the chance to go to it every year. So, like, that's ongoing. I can see that it wasn't like a one and done thing. People truly care about you at that conference. And I just don't see that necessarily all over the country. I mean, I think that family atmosphere is one that's very unique to NGLA. And I think that's one of the reasons why I get so excited to attend. Even though I've been to a million, I can't wait for the next one.
Getting to go is really like even a privilege to me. I was excited to go, and I feel like if you want that complete experience of Greek life, you have to attend the conferences.
Yeah, I agree. That really rounds out your experience. I think if you didn't have that component of it, you would be missing a piece of Greek life. And I think that I'm so happy that you got a chance to experience it. And you know, you seem to have some really big success with recruitment after I was on campus talking about these new recruitment systems that we implemented. So talk to our audience. How did you achieve the sudden success in recruitment for all the organizations at NYIT?
Well, honestly, your talk was so beneficial in so many ways. I can still remember when you came to campus, and I remember it was like an early morning, and I know some people were like a little bit sleepy, but you woke us all up. And I know that everybody had a lot to take away from that because right after, you could feel the whole environment changed. People had this momentum about them when it came to recruitment across all the organizations, not just my own. And you could tell people were moving with a passion and a purpose. And with that, I saw at our little school with our smaller student body and our smaller Greek life, if I recall correctly, we went from a Greek life of about 40 students to over 100 by the end of the semester. And that was a lot for us because we more than doubled our numbers
Mhm.
after that speech. And I think it really put things into perspective because a lot of those students were new members. So they have all this excitement and everything is so new to them. And with the direction that you gave us, I feel like it just made things so much more clear, and it really did give us a direction on how we can recruit. I remember one of the best things you told us was that people join for the people, not for the letters. And ever since then, I know I've seen people actively focus on the aspect of friendship and connection over the aspect of, okay, come to our event, here's our information. And that made it so much more of a human experience. So I can never really forget that. I
Yeah.
just remembered everyone's energy and it was amazing.
I have to give props to my good friends over at Fired Up for that. You know, they've really been synonymous with people joining people, but it's so true. I mean, the first time I heard that, from Josh Arendi over at Fired Up, I was like, he's so right. I mean, the reason why I joined is because of my big brother, Rich. And I just wanted to hang out with him more often. And I think people within fraternity and sorority life, they get so hung up on the event and that they have to spend all this money in order to have a big event, in order to recruit people. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The reason why you, Maheen, and the reason why I joined my organization is because I wanted to hang out with somebody who was in the chapter who I thought was cool. It's just that simple. And I think if we just remember that and we remember those relationships are really what's important, then we can finally start to have the success that we want to have within fraternity and sorority life and recruit other quality members. And the fact that you doubled the entire Greek system after that talk, that's a huge success. I mean, there is no other way to look at it. I mean, it is a huge success. You and the other fraternity and sorority members at NYIT should be really proud of the legacy that you're leaving, which is now we have all of these young people that are super motivated around fraternity and sorority, and they're proud members, and they can't wait to share that gift with other students at NYIT.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's such a great story. And that's certainly the fuel that's going to keep me going here for the rest of the spring semester. I promise you, I'm going to listen to that more than once when I have a
Oh,
tough day. And I'm going to say, man, why am I doing this? And then I'm going to listen to your words and say, this is why. This is why, because you can have a huge impact on a college campus if you really believe and you have the resources necessary to give to the students that they can go and implement and have huge results, positive change on their campus. And you just laid it out for us perfectly. So I think that's fantastic. And you also got very involved in the fraternity and sorority life office. You served as student assistant and also student coordinator. So what did you learn working in the fraternity and sorority life office?
so I was newly crossed. It was my first semester ever. I was a little bit too ambitious and I applied for student coordinator without any experience in Greek life. And I didn't even realize the level of responsibility it would entail. So at that point, I was turned down from the position and I understood why afterwards. I was like, okay, that was a little too ambitious right there. But I continued to just constantly move with this purpose of wanting to help people. I was always actively involved at any event. I would always just be raising my hand, trying to contribute and participate. And then I was offered the position of student assistant at the fraternity sorority life office. And I was so excited for this job. And it really showed me all of the time that happens behind the scenes to make these events happen. And all that really did was make me appreciate these events even more. So in both positions, I was just very excited to help, to make flyers, to do any of the little things that took behind the scenes. Like I would just happily take it. I would happily do it. And that was just one of my favorite parts of college, just being able to have that hand in the process of making these events happen. It was so fulfilling and rewarding to me.
I love
And
that. That's
I wouldn't
fantastic.
change the,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, they were lucky to have you in that role because I know how much it meant to you to be able to work in that office. And you're right. People don't realize how much work goes into putting on an event on campus. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of work, a tremendous undertaking for the speaker, for the students, for the campus. I mean, it's like everything has to come together and you pulled it off. You did such a great job working in that office. So I'm super proud of what you've done. And you also served as director of communications for the interfraternity and sorority life at NYIT. So I'm wondering, how did you reach your target audience, which are really general students at NYIT? What seemed to work well for you in terms of getting results and communications?
Well, thank you so much for that comment. And for me, I was director of communications. I was marketing chair for my sorority. So I obviously really loved reaching out to the student body and reaching out to people. And it all boils down to inclusion and involvement. If you can make the viewers or whoever is on the app checking the page feel included, or like the organization and people they love are involved, then that's what gets people to constantly check on the page and to engage. Having things such as polls or Q&As is they're helpful techniques as well, but I would say it really comes down to representing the different organizations in a way that gets people excited, because then you're going to have members of the organization commenting. Something I personally loved that our page did was they had a Greek member spotlight where each month they'll take a second to just appreciate somebody who's been doing outstanding work within the community. And that would get a bunch of people of that organization proud and excited, and people would just be commenting underneath the post, and they would be like, oh, this is my little, this is my big, this is my twin. Like everyone's just excited all around. And it's honestly such a smart way to also get people to check the page and to get involved, because nobody wants to just check a page about, just events, information. Like it can't be too dry. There has to be something that appeals to the person on the app themselves. So this inclusion and involvement really incentivizes keeping up with a page. And I found that to be really successful. Even for my personal sorority page, I remember we had around 800 followers, and then I grew it to like 3,000, but I would constantly be on the page monitoring, like, okay, which organizations can we network with? Who can we follow? Who can we reach out to? What will this post do? And they're still doing an amazing job with the page, the marketing chair. So of course, there's the visual side of have a good filter, have a good theme, have a good layout. But in the end, it comes down to if you can get people included and involved.
I love it. That is great advice for all of our students that are listening. And as we talked about, the NYIT Greek community is just so diverse. I mean, it's so obvious to me. How can other fraternity and sorority systems make their Greek community diverse and also welcome the students of various races, religion, country of origin, physical disability, age, sexual orientation? I mean, you can slice up diversity in a million different ways. It's not just race. So how did you do it at NYIT? How can others do it in other Greek communities?
So this is something that's so important, especially for recruitment, for everything. And what any organization has to do is they need to understand that yes, there are categories, there's different people and there are labels, but understand that in the end of the day, you are a person and I'm a person, and what we have between us is common ground. You have to find that common ground. You have to identify any types of biases you might unintentionally have and put those walls down and say, no, I am open to speaking to any person of any race, of any religion, of any sexual orientation, of any disability. And when you put those walls down, you open yourself up to actually finding that common ground, because all people will have that common ground. There's going to be something in common. And if you want to make that connection, you just have to understand that it's possible. People having a different background ethnically or any type of background, just because it's different doesn't mean that it has to be a barrier necessarily when it comes to recruitment or joining an organization, because in the end of the day, this is all about connection. This is all about belonging. It's about where you feel accepted. And if you can take down those walls of, okay, but they might not want to join because we don't have a lot of people like them, you have to take out that fear. You have to take out that judgment first, so you can take the best foot forward in order to make the most authentic connections with everybody.
Wow, I couldn't have said it better myself. You did a much better job than I could have. So that's amazing, first and foremost. But you're absolutely right. I think, college is a great time to meet and learn from other people and other cultures and understand their cultures a little bit better, the reality is that when you get out in the real world, you're going to be working with people from all different areas and all different walks of life, even different educational backgrounds. Maybe, you know, you're working with PhDs, maybe you're working with high school graduates that haven't gone to college. And so, you know, there's all kinds of diversity that's out there, and you have to learn to work with everybody. And I think if nothing else, the fact that my chapter was so diverse, that really helped me to understand different cultures that I didn't know of, didn't really understand when I was in high school. So I think that did tremendous value for me to understand where other people are coming from and to understand the value to the organization of having a diverse organization. Because now when we look at problems, we look at it from a lot of different lenses with all the things that we bring with us from our race, our religion, our country of origin, all of those things. And so we're actually better problem solvers if our organization is diverse. So we actually could solve problems faster than other fraternities on campus because of our diversity. And I hope that that resonates, that the students who are listening now understand the value of having diversity in their organization.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, as a recruiter, you've mentioned before, everyone has a story. When you are recruiting, you need to want to know everyone's story. You have to want to hear a different story. It might not be the same as yours, but that's part of what makes it such a rewarding experience.
Totally agree. Now you are going for your master's degree, physician assistant studies. I'm curious, what's next for you after graduation? What do you want to do once you graduate with that master's degree?
Well, I would love to work as a PA. And when it comes to specialties, I'm not sure yet, but beyond working as a physician assistant, I honestly have my mind open to any possibilities, even opportunities outside of medicine.
Wow, that's fantastic. I know whatever you do, you're going to be an amazing asset for that company. Whoever is lucky enough to get you to work for their company, man, watch out. Maheen is going to take over and you're going to be really happy you made that decision. I promise you there. And one last thing, because I know you're really passionate about this, so I wanted to ask you about it. How can the college students who are listening right now, how can they rewire their minds for success?
So this is a topic that I'm absolutely obsessed with. And I believe that everybody has it within them to become their most successful version of themselves. And in order to do that, you have to identify that you will need to change and adapt. And you have to be open for that change to happen. So, what I would tell every student to do is to find the most idealized version of yourself in your head and describe that person. What do they look like? How do they walk? How do they talk? Do they have better posture? How do they communicate with others? Are they more responsible? Do they care more about health and fitness? Are they disciplined? You need to describe that person in your mind and understand that you can make the changes to become that person. For example, identifying your emotional needs are so important when it comes to success because not everybody's going to have a good day. And one of the things I've done personally that so many students struggle with, especially in grad school and PA school and medical school, is anxiety and nervousness for these tests because the stakes are high as they could be anywhere in any field. So what I would do is I trained myself that whenever I thought that I was nervous, I told myself, you are excited. And I started telling myself, I'm excited. I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to do something new. I'm excited to, work with a standardized patient. I'm excited. And when I walked in with that mentality, I saw that my grades, they ended up doing so much better. I wouldn't get nervous. I would see, my classmates, their legs are shaking before a test, and I don't blame them. I've been there too. But when I started telling myself, I'm excited to take this test because I'm going to get this out of the way, as crazy as that sounds, it helped me tremendously. So, what students have to do is they have to set real goals and vision their perfect self. And another key thing is affirmations. I mentioned that I say I am excited. Well, you can do that with anything. For example, another thing that students really struggle with is confidence, especially in the Greek realm when you have to approach people and you can face rejection. People might not want to join your organization. People might have another organization in mind. You have to have confidence in order to network. in Greek life if you want your organization to get ahead and get more members. So you can write down, I'm confident, I'm skilled, I am good enough, because many have imposter syndrome. You can say, I can adapt, and I'm a fast learner. And you can write this down and read it every day to yourself until you believe it, and you will see the results happening in your life. In addition, it's important to seek criticism and not always praise. It is very hard to take criticism sometimes, but criticism is the thing that lets us actually grow. You have to be able to make room for growth. Praise might keep you comfortable, but criticism will make you grow. Another thing I would recommend, I know this is a lot, but trying to read a new book each month, or maybe watch a new podcast, hint, hint, to learn a new perspective, because the more perspectives you have, the more open-minded you become. You can never run out of ideas. And surrounding yourself with the right people is so important, because you become the people you're around. So during quarantine, we can't really be around our friends that much. And what if you're around people that you don't want to be around? How do you find the people you like? Well, I would say to find role models, whether online or in books. And I choose to surround myself with great thinkers, even vicariously, so I can learn more about myself through them, because you can't just snap your fingers and have a new friend group of people who are so competent and can teach you things. Sometimes you have to find that in things like literature. So my last thing I would say is to be wary of the media you consume and how it makes you feel, because we are in a virtual world. We're constantly on our phones. We've got TikTok where you can just scroll forever, and I've done it too. I was doing it this morning. I'm guilty. But it's important to actually be aware of how things make you feel. Like, does this certain trend make you feel uncomfortable with yourself? Does your lack of confidence stem from seeing other people online and constantly comparing yourself? This degree of awareness will really set you apart to make the changes you need to make to be the most successful person that you could be. And these steps can be done by anybody at home for free, anywhere, anytime. So these are the things I would suggest for anybody to really rewire their mind for success.
Wow, Maheen, man, you just laid it all out there. You're dropping knowledge all over the place, and you are wise well beyond your years, which is why I think you and I have always had that great connection, because I just think, I think the world of you. I think, you are bright, you are talented, you are very capable, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the story looks like for you, because I know wherever you go, whatever, hospital or organization that decides to, recruit you, great things are going to happen for that organization. So I'm super proud of you, and thank you. Thank you so much for sharing of your time, your treasure, your talent, all of those things. You're right about getting different perspectives. I think that's what's so beautiful about the Fraternity Foodie podcast is you literally have now 205 different episodes to choose from, with all kinds of people from all different walks of life. Some of the things you might agree with, some of the things you might not, but it's just helpful to understand other people's perspectives other than your own, so that way you know where you stand on some of these issues and how you're going to improve whatever that situation is on your college campus. And you mentioned the books. I mean, for all those fraternity and sorority leaders that are out there, we've got 2 of them, From Letters to Leaders. Go and pick those up on Amazon. And again, same thing. I mean, those chapters, each chapter is written by a different author. That was done intentionally to give you a lot of different perspectives and lenses, not just mine, because it's much broader than that. It's to understand what everybody feels about a particular topic and understand their point of view. So all of that was very intentional. And so I appreciate everything that you've done here. And I know this episode is going to be a big hit, not only with your sorority, but also all the fraternity and sorority members back at NYIT. So thank you, Maheen. You're the best.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure to be on the podcast.
Of course, of course. And to all of our listeners, if you enjoyed this talk with Maheen, make sure that you like it. Make sure you share it with other students on campus. And we can't wait to see you on another episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much. Bye for now.